The quiet of the night shift at Deep Space Monitoring Station 7 was broken by a steady beeping from Monitor 3. Jack Thompson lifted his coffee mug to his lips, only to find it empty. He rolled his chair across to the source of the noise, expecting another false alarm from space debris. It wasn't debris. The patterns on his screen made his hands shake as he reached for the phone. Within minutes, Dr. James Walker, head of the Global Defense Initiative's Astronomy Division, was awakened by an urgent call. "This better be good, Jack," he said, voice rough with sleep. "Sir, you need to see this. The Kuiper Belt readings. They're not natural." 2 hours later, Dr. Walker stood in the control room, staring at the same patterns that had disturbed Jack's quiet night. His usual calm demeanor had cracked, showing the tension underneath. The data was clear, regular geometric patterns, energy signatures that couldn't come from any known natural phenomenon, and worst of all, they'd been there for years. They'd just never known where to look. "Get me the military," Walker said quietly, "and wake up every major observatory from here to Tokyo." The next 48 hours became a blur of activity. Military satellites, secretly equipped with advanced detection systems, confirmed what the ground stations had found. Hidden among the ice and rock of the Kuiper Belt, artificial structures floated silently. They were watching posts, observation stations that had been monitoring Earth for decades. In Washington, D.C., London, Beijing, and Moscow, emergency meetings were called. The President of the United States stood in the Situation Room, looking at the detailed images captured by the military's most advanced space telescopes. "How long have they been there?" she asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. General Roberts, his uniform crisp despite the late hour, pointed to the data on the main screen. "Based on our analysis of the surrounding debris patterns and energy signatures, at least 30 years, Madam President. Maybe longer." The room fell silent. 30 years. They'd been watched for 30 years. Dr. Walker, now present in all major briefings, explained the technical details. The structures were sophisticated, using technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities. They were powered by what appeared to be controlled fusion reactions, and their observation equipment could probably watch a cat cross a street in New York from their position in the Kuiper Belt. "The question isn't just how long they've been watching," Walker said, pointing to new data streaming in. "The question is why they're changing their behavior now." The observation posts had begun moving, shifting their positions in ways that were clearly deliberate. They were no longer trying to hide. In the following days, governments worldwide made a decision that would have seemed impossible just a week before. They went public. The world needed to know, needed to prepare. The news spread across the globe like wildfire. "Alien observation posts discovered," read headlines in every language. Markets fluctuated wildly before stabilizing as people realized that life had to go on, even with the knowledge that humanity wasn't alone. But in secure facilities around the world, things were far from normal. The Global Defense Initiative, originally created as a public-private partnership to protect Earth from asteroid impacts, revealed its true purpose. For years, they had been preparing for this very moment. Dr. Walker stood in the GDI's main facility, looking at the assembled military and scientific leaders from dozens of nations. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice echoing in the vast chamber, "we've known this day would come. The protocols we've prepared are now active. The observation posts are just the beginning. They're scout posts for something much larger." He brought up a new image on the main screen, showing movement patterns and energy signatures spreading out from the Kuiper Belt. "They're not just watching anymore. They're preparing. And so must we." As the meeting continued into the night, satellites around Earth began shifting into new positions. Hidden facilities on the Moon powered up for the first time, and in underground bases across the planet, sealed doors opened to reveal weapons and ships built for a war humanity had been silently preparing to fight for decades. The watchers in the Kuiper Belt had revealed themselves, but they would soon learn that humanity had been far from blind. and far from helpless. Admiral Thomas Reed stood on the bridge of the GDI Sentinel, humanity's first true deep space vessel, as it approached the alien observation post. The ship, while appearing primitive by alien standards, contained humanity's most advanced technology. Its hull gleamed with a dull gray finish that absorbed radar and other detection methods. "Status report," Reed commanded, his weathered face reflecting the blue glow of the ship's displays. "We're within communication range, sir," replied Lieutenant Mary Foster from her station. "The alien station is tracking us but hasn't taken any defensive actions." Reed nodded. This was the moment humanity had prepared for during decades of secret development. The ship carried Earth's first official diplomatic mission to an alien power, but it also carried a message that had been agreed upon by every major nation on Earth. The alien station grew larger in their view screens. It was beautiful in its own way. A crystalline structure that sparkled with internal lights, spreading out like a metallic snowflake against the darkness of space. "They're hailing us," Foster announced. The main screen flickered to life, revealing beings that looked surprisingly humanoid, though their skin had a metallic sheen and their eyes were entirely black. The alien speaker wore what appeared to be a formal uniform adorned with geometric patterns. "Greetings, humans," the alien said in perfect English, causing murmurs of surprise among the bridge crew. "I am Overseer First Class of the Imperial Observation Post Kuiper 17. We have been expecting your arrival." Reed stepped forward. "I am Admiral Thomas Reed of the Global Defense Initiative of Earth. We come with a message from our world." The Overseer's expression remained neutral. "Before you deliver your message, permit me to inform you of our purpose. The Galactic Empire has watched your development with great interest. Your species shows remarkable potential. We are here to offer you the opportunity to join our empire peacefully. Your world will be absorbed into our greater civilization, and your people will be guided toward proper development under imperial oversight." The bridge fell silent. This was exactly what Earth's leaders had predicted. The Empire saw them as primitives to be colonized. Reed straightened his uniform. "Overseer, I hear your offer. Now hear our response." He took a breath, knowing his next words would be remembered in human history forever. "The nations of Earth have authorized me to deliver one warning. We are ready for you." The Overseer's black eyes widened slightly, the first show of emotion they'd seen. "Ready? I don't think you understand, Admiral. The Empire spans thousands of systems. Our technology is centuries beyond yours. This is not a negotiation. It is a courtesy notification." Reed allowed himself a small smile. "We understand perfectly. We've understood since we found your scout ship in the Arctic 50 years ago." Now the Overseer showed genuine surprise. That incident had been carefully erased from Imperial records. "Everything since then," Reed continued, "has been preparation. The primitives you've been watching are a carefully crafted illusion. We tracked your observation posts years ago. We've been feeding you exactly what we wanted you to see." "Impossible," the Overseer said, but uncertainty had crept into their voice. "This ship," Reed gestured around him, "is not our best technology. It's what we wanted you to see. The real fleet remains hidden. The real weapons remain undetected. This is not a boast, Overseer. This is a warning." The alien's composure cracked further. "You dare threaten the Empire?" "No threat," Reed replied calmly. "Just a fact. We are ready for you. Return to your superiors. Tell them humanity will not be absorbed. Tell them we will not be colonized. Tell them that if they wish to speak with us, they will do so as equals, or they will not do so at all." The Overseer's image disappeared without another word. Reed turned to his crew, who sat in tense silence. "Take us home," he ordered. "They'll need time to process this, and then they'll need to decide if they believe us." As the Sentinel turned back toward Earth, Reed knew the real work was just beginning. The Empire would test humanity's warning, and humanity would need to prove they meant every word. The game of shadows was over. Now the real dance would begin. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Walker led a group of military officials through a massive underground facility that had remained hidden from the Empire's watching eyes for decades. The sound of their footsteps echoed off steel walls as they approached a heavily guarded blast door. "What you're about to see," Walker said, placing his hand on a scanner, "is why we told the Empire we're ready for them." The massive door slid open with a hydraulic hiss. Inside, a cavernous chamber stretched for miles. Rows of sleek spacecraft lined the walls, their dark hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. But these weren't ordinary ships. They were hybrids, built using technology reversed engineered from the Imperial scout ship found in the Arctic. General Roberts whistled softly. "How many facilities like this do we have?" 12, Walker replied, leading them past the ships, spread across every continent, hidden under mountains or deep in the ocean. The Empire's observation posts never detected them because we built them using their own stealth technology against them. They stopped at a central command station where dozens of technicians worked at glowing screens. A massive holographic display showed the solar system, with red dots indicating Imperial observation posts. "The Empire thinks they're watching us," Walker continued, "but we've been feeding them carefully crafted data for years. Every satellite launch they've observed has been a show. Our real satellites are invisible to their sensors." On another screen, underground cities sprawled beneath the Earth's major population centers. These weren't crude bunkers, but fully functioning cities designed to house millions. They had been built slowly, quietly, over decades. "Civilian evacuation drills begin tomorrow," the colonel announced, checking his tablet. "We're calling it a global emergency preparedness exercise." Walker nodded. "The public ones are the cover. The real evacuations will happen through the subway systems we've expanded over the years. Every metro system in every major city has hidden tunnels leading to these underground cities." The group moved to another section where engineers worked on what looked like ordinary construction equipment. Walker picked up what appeared to be a simple mining drill. "This is one of our best-kept secrets," he said, pressing a hidden switch. The drill's exterior shimmered and changed, revealing a weapon that hummed with energy. "Everything we've built has a dual purpose. Construction equipment becomes military hardware. Civilian ships become battleships. Mining tools become weapons." In orbit, seemingly ordinary communications satellites were silently transforming. Solar panels folded away, revealing weapon ports. Weather monitoring equipment shifted to reveal sensor arrays far more advanced than anything the Empire believed Earth possessed. Back in the facility, Walker led the group to a sealed room. Inside, a piece of twisted metal floated in a containment field, a fragment from the crashed Imperial scout ship. "This is what gave us our edge," Walker explained. "Their arrogance. They never believed primitives like us could understand their technology, let alone improve it. But we did something they never expected. We combined their tech with human ingenuity." He gestured to a bank of computers. "Their quantum communications. We made it better. They're faster than light drives. We made them more efficient. Their weapons. We found ways to pierce their strongest shields." General Roberts studied a display showing Earth's defensive grid. "How long until the Empire makes their move?" "Based on their standard protocols, which we learned from the scout ships database, they'll send a small fleet first. 100 ships, maybe less. They'll expect it to be enough to handle a primitive world." Walker smiled grimly. "They have no idea they're flying into a trap 50 years in the making." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. A technician called out from her station. Multiple Imperial ships just appeared at the edge of the solar system. Walker's expression hardened. "Right on schedule. Begin Operation Dark Shield. Signal all facilities to initiate final preparations." He turned to the assembled officials. "Ladies and gentlemen, humanity has spent 50 years preparing for this moment. Now we show the Empire exactly how ready we are." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden strength stirred to life. The greatest deception in human history was about to be revealed, and the Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating Earth. The Imperial fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 100 ships arranged in the traditional conquest pattern used to subjugate thousands of primitive worlds before. Their golden hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they passed Jupiter's orbit, their sensors detecting no significant resistance ahead. Fleet Commander Vix stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. "Status report," he ordered, expecting the usual pre-conquest data. "My lord, we're detecting no defensive formations," his sensor officer reported. "Their primitive satellites are exactly where our observation posts reported. Their military vessels remain within their atmosphere." "Everything matches our intelligence." Vix nodded, satisfied. This would be another routine conquest for the Empire's records. "Begin standard approach pattern. Prepare the shock troops for—" The sensor officer's scream cut him off. Multiple objects emerging from the asteroid belt. What happened next would be studied in Imperial war colleges for centuries to come. Dozens of asteroids that had appeared natural on their scans suddenly shed their rocky camouflage. Underneath were massive rail-gun platforms, their barrels already aligned in charge. "Impossible," Vix whispered. "They couldn't have." The rail guns fired. Hypervelocity rounds, enhanced with reversed-engineered Imperial technology, crossed the space between the asteroids and the fleet in seconds. The Empire's shields, calibrated for energy weapons, proved devastatingly vulnerable to kinetic impacts at relativistic speeds. 20 ships exploded before they could even begin evasive maneuvers. "Battle stations," Vix roared. "Launch fighters. Return fire." But the asteroid belt attack was just the beginning. Earth's primitive satellites suddenly transformed, weapon ports opening as they revealed their true nature. A web of quantum-linked defense platforms activated, creating a battle network that could respond faster than Imperial ships could compute. In the underground command center, Dr. Walker and Admiral Reed watched the battle unfold on their holographic display. The railguns caught them by surprise. Reed noted, his voice calm despite the chaos unfolding in space. "They never expected us to combine their tech with simple kinetic weapons." Walker nodded. "Arrogance is expensive. They assumed any civilization worth fighting would use energy weapons like theirs. They never considered we'd build something different." In space, the Imperial fleet tried to regroup, but they faced attacks from all directions. More defense platforms emerged from hiding spots throughout the solar system. Missiles with hybrid drives that merged human and Imperial technology swarmed their formations. "My lord," the Imperial sensor officer cried. "Their weapons. They're using our own shield frequencies against us. They're bypassing our defenses completely." Vix gripped his command chair as another explosion rocked his flagship. 40 ships gone, then 50. Their return fire seemed to pass right through Earth's defenses, as if they were shooting at ghosts. "Recall all ships," he finally ordered. "Emergency withdrawal. Send warning to High Command." The humans. They were ready for us. But retreat proved as deadly as advance. The quantum defense grid predicted their withdrawal vectors, placing deadly fire along their escape routes. By the time the surviving Imperial ships managed to activate their FTL drives, only 27 remained from the original 100. In the command center, Reed watched the Imperial ships vanish from their sensors. "They'll be back," he said quietly, "with a much bigger fleet." Walker smiled. "Good, because they haven't seen anything yet." He brought up a new display showing hundreds of ships hidden in underground bases, underwater facilities, and secret lunar installations. "Now that they've shown us their current tech level, we can finish calibrating our main fleet." The first battle for Earth was over. The Empire had arrived expecting to find primitive humans cowering behind simple defenses. Instead, they'd found an entire solar system turned into a deadly trap by decades of patient preparation. As emergency signals raced across Imperial communication channels, Earth's defenders began deploying their next layer of surprises. The Empire thought they had seen humanity's full strength. They were wrong. They had only seen the outer layer of Earth's defenses, and each layer deeper would prove deadlier than the last. Admiral Reeves stood in the command center of the GDI Avenger, humanity's most advanced warship, as it led Earth's counter-offensive fleet toward the nearest Imperial colony. The ship, like all of Earth's vessels, looked deceptively simple from the outside. Inside, it was a perfect fusion of human innovation and reversed-engineered Imperial technology. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Lieutenant Foster announced from her station. "The stealth systems are working perfectly. Imperial sensors aren't detecting our approach." Reed nodded, watching the tactical display where 300 Earth ships moved in perfect formation. They had waited decades for this moment, the chance to take the fight to the Empire's doorstep. "Begin Phase 1, he ordered. Across the fleet, crews activated their hybrid drives. These engines, built by combining Imperial FTL technology with human improvements, allowed Earth's ships to move faster and more quietly than anything the Empire possessed. The first Imperial colony came into view, a massive space station orbiting a terraformed moon. Its defenses were minimal. The Empire had never needed strong defenses this deep in their territory. "They're about to learn why that was a mistake," Reed muttered. "Launch the drones." Thousands of small, unmanned craft poured from Earth's ships. These weren't simple robots. They carried Dr. Walker's latest invention, a virus that could infect Imperial computer systems. The drones slipped through the station's defenses like ghosts, attaching themselves to communication arrays and defense platforms. In his lab back on Earth, Dr. Walker watched the operation through quantum-entangled communications. "Virus deployment successful," he reported. "Their systems are compromised. They can't send warnings to other Imperial worlds." The battle that followed was brief but decisive. Imperial ships, caught completely by surprise, fell to Earth's advanced weapons. The colony's defenses, crippled by the computer virus, couldn't respond effectively. "Imperial forces are surrendering," Foster reported, surprise in her voice. They're asking how we breached their security so easily." Reed allowed himself a small smile. "Tell them we've had 50 years to practice." But this was just the beginning. As the first colony fell, Earth's fleet split into smaller groups, each targeting different Imperial installations. They weren't just fighting. They were gathering intelligence, testing the Empire's responses, and establishing forward bases for the larger conflict to come. Back on Earth, Dr. Walker made another breakthrough. "Admiral," he called over the quantum link, "we've cracked their FTL communication network. We can read every message they send, and they don't even know it." The information flowing from the captured network was invaluable. Earth's forces learned of weak points in Imperial defenses, the locations of key military installations, and most importantly, the growing panic among Imperial leadership. "They never expected this," Walker explained during a strategic briefing. "Their whole society is built on the idea that younger civilizations are automatically inferior. They can't understand how we've matched, and in some cases exceeded, their technology." The war spread across Imperial space like wildfire. Earth's ships, smaller but more advanced than their Imperial counterparts, struck with surgical precision. They didn't try to hold territory. Instead, they disrupted Imperial supply lines, destroyed military installations, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. More surprising to the Empire was the response from their conquered worlds. As news of Earth's resistance spread, other subjugated species began to rebel. They saw humanity's success as proof that the Empire wasn't invincible. "Another colony is requesting our help," Foster reported, reading the latest transmission. "They'd want to learn how we fight." Reed studied the tactical display, watching as more green dots appeared, representing allies joining Earth's cause. "Send them our basic defense plans," he ordered. "It's time to show the galaxy that humanity isn't just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for everyone the Empire has oppressed." The counterstrike had become more than just a military operation. It had become a symbol of hope for countless worlds, a proof that the Empire's power wasn't absolute. and Earth's forces were just getting started. The Imperial High Command Chamber was in chaos. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Empire's supreme leaders faced a crisis they hadn't anticipated. The massive holographic display in the center of the room showed hundreds of red dots representing lost colonies, disabled fleets, and failed defensive positions. Impossible. The first commander slammed his fist on the table. How can one primitive world cause so much damage? We ruled the galaxy before they invented the wheel. The Imperial analysts presented their latest reports, each worse than the last. Human ships were appearing and disappearing at will, using technology that somehow surpassed Imperial standards. Their weapons pierced the strongest shields. Their computers sliced through the best Imperial security. Mobilize the Grand Fleet, the first commander ordered. All of it. In space, 10,000 Imperial warships gathered. The largest fleet assembled in Imperial history. Their massive hulls blocked out the stars, their combined power enough to shatter planets. This was the Empire's full might, their answer to humanity's defiance. Dr. Walker watched the fleet's assembly through Earth's quantum spy network. In the underground command center, he turned to Admiral Reed with a grim smile. "They're finally taking us seriously." "Good," Reed replied, studying the tactical displays. "Because now they'll see what we can really do." The Imperial Grand Fleet moved with overwhelming force, reclaiming lost territories and pushing back Earth's advance. But something was wrong. Human forces weren't fighting as expected. They retreated too easily, abandoned positions too quickly. "They're running scared," the Imperial Fleet commander announced proudly. "Push forward. Crush their resistance." But Dr. Walker and his team had prepared for this moment. As the Imperial Fleet pushed deeper into the contested space, they activated their trap. Hidden quantum beacons, planted during the earlier battles, suddenly pulsed to life. "Quantum field activated," Walker reported. "Their FTL drives are about to have a very bad day." Throughout the Imperial Fleet, faster-than-light engines began to fail. The quantum field, based on technology reverse-engineered from a crashed scout ship and improved by human scientists, turned space itself against the Imperial ships. Their mighty fleet, spread across dozens of systems, was suddenly stranded. Earth's forces struck back. Smaller, more agile human ships darted between the stranded Imperial vessels. Their weapons, specifically calibrated to Imperial shield frequencies, cut through the Empire's defenses like paper. "This is impossible." The Imperial Fleet commander watched helplessly as his ships were picked apart. "How do they know our shield frequencies? How do they know our tactical responses?" The answer was simple. Humans had spent 50 years studying everything about the Empire. Every weakness, every standard procedure, every tactical pattern. Earth's forces knew them all. On the bridge of the GDI Avenger, Admiral Reed watched the battle unfold. "Launch the fighters," he ordered. "Show them what Earth's best pilots can do." Human fighters zipped between Imperial capital ships, their pilots pulling maneuvers that Imperial crews had never seen before. The Empire had relied on automated systems and AI for so long that they'd forgotten the unpredictable creativity of human pilots. "Another Imperial battle group is surrendering," Lieutenant Foster reported. Similar reports came in from across the battlefield. The Empire's mighty fleet was being dismantled piece by piece, not through overwhelming force, but through superior strategy, better technology, and human ingenuity. In the Imperial High Command Chamber, the mood had shifted from anger to fear. The first commander received report after report of fleet elements surrendering or being destroyed. The cost in ships and crews was staggering. "How?" he whispered, watching his mighty fleet fall apart. "How did they advance so far beyond us?" The answer was coming together for Imperial analysts. Humanity had done the impossible. They had taken Imperial technology and improved it. They had studied Imperial tactics and countered them. They had turned the Empire's greatest strengths into weaknesses. As the battle raged on, one thing became clear. The Empire's easy days of conquest were over. Humanity hadn't just prepared for this war. They had revolutionized how it would be fought. The Imperial Palace's Great Hall had never seen a meeting like this. The Empire's high command sat on one side of the massive table, their once proud postures now showing signs of strain. Across from them sat the human delegation, led by Admiral Reed and Dr. Walker, their expressions calm but determined. "You understand our terms?" Reed asked, his voice echoing in the silent hall. The first commander of the Empire looked at the datapad before him. The casualty reports were staggering. Over half the Imperial Grand Fleet lost, dozens of colonies in rebellion, and trade routes disrupted across hundreds of systems. The Empire's economy was bleeding resources faster than they could be replaced. "You want us to recognize Earth as an independent power," the first commander said slowly. "To acknowledge your sovereignty over your solar system and all territories you've claimed during this conflict." "That's just the beginning," Walker added, activating a holographic display. It showed a complex network of FTL routes crisscrossing Imperial space. "We've mapped every major FTL path in your territory. Our quantum technology can disable these routes at will. The demonstration we gave your fleet was just a small sample." The Imperial leaders shifted uncomfortably. The humans weren't just making threats, they had already proven their capabilities. The battle that crippled the Grand Fleet had shown exactly what Earth could do. "But we're not here to destroy the Empire," Reed continued. "We're here to change it. Your system of conquering and absorbing other civilizations ends today. We're proposing a new organization, the Independent Systems Alliance." The holographic display changed, showing a new political structure. Earth would lead a coalition of freed worlds, each maintaining their independence while sharing technology and resources. The Empire would remain intact, but would have to treat with other civilizations as equals, not subjects. "You expect us to simply accept this?" the Imperial second commander demanded. Reed's response was calm but firm. "We expect you to recognize reality. Your fleets can't be our technology. Your shields can't stop our weapons. Your computers can't block our viruses. And now, your FTL routes are at our mercy." Dr. Walker stood up, walking to the center of the room. "But more importantly, look at what we achieved in just 50 years. Imagine what other species could do if given the chance to develop freely. The Empire's method of absorbing and controlling worlds doesn't just hurt them, it hurts you. You've stopped advancing because you stopped having to compete." The first commander was quiet for a long moment. "And if we refuse?" In answer, Walker pressed a button on his device. Throughout the palace, every screen and holographic display flickered and changed. Earth's quantum virus had penetrated even this most secure of locations. "Then we shut down your FTL network," Reed said simply. "Your empire collapses into isolated pockets. The rebellion spreading through your territories will grow, and Earth will support every world that wants independence." The Imperial leaders conferred quietly among themselves. They had no choice, and they knew it. Humanity had outmaneuvered them completely. "We accept your terms," the first commander finally said. The next few hours were spent working out details. Earth would help establish the new alliance, sharing their technological advancements with former Imperial colonies that chose independence. The Empire would maintain its core territories, but would have to earn the loyalty of its member worlds rather than demanding it. As the meeting concluded, the first commander approached Reed privately. "How did you do it? How did you advance so far so quickly?" Reed smiled. "We had good teachers. Your observation posts watched us, but we were watching you too. You taught us what not to do. You showed us that true strength comes from innovation, not domination." As the human delegation prepared to leave, news of the agreement spread across the galaxy. On hundreds of worlds, people celebrated their new freedom. The age of imperial conquest was over. A new era of cooperation and competition was beginning. Earth had done more than win a war. They had changed the course of galactic history. Their one warning had been enough. but it was their actions that had truly shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of when challenged.